With all the recent events that have been transpiring around the world, particularly between the United States and Iran, people have been feeling very nervous and antsy. Though many have been ringing the alarm bells for years, warning these same people of these events that are coming together now, most people have been ignoring the early warnings and trying to live their best life now. But with all of the recent escalations with geopolitical tensions, many people are worried about World War III. And if you search the web and scroll down YouTube channels, for instance, there is no shortage of information that is warning of World War III. That is not what this channel is about, though, so you will not find a lot of content going over each move of the world players. And while many of the latest moves have been significant and can be a cause of alarm for us all, you will not find this channel emphasizing this event and that event. I also don't recommend for you to do this as well. I always look at things with the end in mind. And if you understand where things are going, there is no reason to get caught up with the day by day. Because the news that they give is meant to distract you, place fear in you, make you move irrationally, becoming more reactive than proactive, while you are never truly prepared. This channel has always been about preparation. And anytime I am making a video, it's about preparing you for the future and breaking certain pieces of bondage that has tried to attach itself to you. Now, with all these events happening, I am happy that the events are sparking more of an awareness with the general public and creating more of a sense of urgency. But I also know that this is a part of the media's plan. They are working through a goal of creating fear and uncertainty. I do not want you to operate with those emotions and feelings. So what I would like to do is explain to you some things you must understand about World War III. Let's begin. Now, my last video of 2019 was called, Do You Have 2020 Vision? What to Expect in the Year 2020. If you watched that video, which was made before the recent escalations with Iran and the United States, you should have already had an expectation of what was to come this year. None of this should have surprised you, but maybe only how fast it all got started. If you have not watched this video, I think that you should, because there is a lot more to understand than just this conflict with Iran and the US. But from this video, I prayed that many understood what time it was and they began to prepare for what's coming. So let's discuss World War III. Now, I do not believe that conflict matters. Now, I do list them briefly in that 2020 vision video, but I don't believe that they are important because they are only a narrative. It's a way of telling this story, whether it's true or not. Those narratives in the grand scheme of things don't really matter. So there's no reason to understand the narrative or the reason for conflict. Trump will say this, Iran will say that. North Korea will threaten this way, China will threaten that way. They have been going through this war of words for many years, and the wars have just been escalating. It only looks like now we're at a tipping point. So while many may be trying to make sense out of it all and hoping for some type of change or intervention before things get out of hand, I do not look at things in this way. I am sure something will set it all off. And so my only expectation is that war is coming. Major conflict is coming. And I operate within this mindset. Now, I continue to live my life day by day. I am not sitting at home in some bunker waiting for the bombs to drop. I live a normal life, but I don't have false expectations of the world to come. Now, the size of the world war seems to be very clear by now. If you have watched over the years with what nations of the world have been cooperating with each other and running military drills with each other, you can see who the alliances are centered around. We have one side which is dominated in full by the United States, and then we have its allies or strategic partners that will be placed with them as well. So with the United States, you will place Britain, NATO, Japan, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and South Korea. There are for sure other nations that will be on this side as well, but I'm just calling out what is obvious. On the other side, you have Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, India, and Cuba. This is what the size of World War III are looking like. There are many different narratives between these different countries, but the overall issue is that these countries do not want the interference by the United States in their national affairs, and there is a shifting away from the United States' world dominance in regards to political and economic affairs. Basically, the United States leadership is waning, and people are moving away from the United States dollar and their SWIFT payment system. These are the lines of the conflict and where we see the players. Now, here's a mindset that you need to have. World War III is not bringing about the end of the world. When we are talking about these things, we are not saying that the end of the world is coming. When I used to talk to my friends, they always used to think that I'm talking about the end of the world. I'm not talking about the end of the world. World War III is not bringing the end of the world, but the end of this current world order. Life will go on after World War III. It will just be within the confines of a new world system. The world will be much different. Ask yourself, over the past 2 decades, if you have watched any movie about the future, there was always a war, and after it happened, people had to adapt to a new world system. That's called predictive programming. They have been conditioning us for a world that is ahead of us. Don't look at it like it's the end of the world, though it will be the end for many people, as war on this scale brings massive casualties. Now, I don't believe World War III will be a long war. That's one of the narratives that is being given by the nations. Like North Korea is said to be preparing for a long war with the United States.
And he warned North Koreans of a, quote, long confrontation with the U.S. Meanwhile,
but again, I do not think it will be a long war. But I do think it will be a very severe one. I believe that there will be a nuclear disaster with at least 2 countries. There will be a major cyber attack, or EMP, electromagnetic pulse, which will turn out the lights in a major country, not all over the world. And there will be an economic collapse that will affect every nation in the world. And on top of this, I believe that there will be some major natural disaster that can also occur. Now, do I think war with Iran and the US will be the spark of World War III? I mean, it could be, but it could be something completely different. So that's why I'm not following this day by day. If you watch these events happening day by day and you follow it with fear, you have already lost. The truth is, when World War III happens, no one will be ready for it, meaning it will catch the majority by surprise. Everything that's happening now are just provocations. We have been so used to the United States declaring war and there being conflict in regions around the world without it ever really affecting the worldwide masses. So most people just look at these events happening as bad, but they don't really think they have too much to worry about because they don't live in the Middle East. But this war will affect everyone, and that really is the whole point of the war. This coming war is about creating a new world order. It's going to create the right crisis so that there can be order that comes in after it. It's order out of chaos. So I look at things from a perspective of understanding the order that they want, and then I understand what kind of crisis they will have. I obviously don't know what it will actually look like, but I know what kind of things to expect. I know in order for a new world order to come about, the old world order must go away. So I ask myself, what does the old world order look like now? In terms of nations, who is running and in control of this old world order? I do not expect the United States to have a say in the new world order because that would not make it a new world order. It's not new. I do not expect the current world financial system to exist because that would not be new. I expect after major chaos, a rising call for peace that the whole world would agree to so that they never see another war like World War III. So I expect actions that will involve declarations of peace, like destroying all nuclear weapons, getting rid of religious divides, no more putting one country's interests over the rest of the world's. So I expect a new world government. And so these are some of my expectations of what is to come from the end of this war. So what do you do? How do you prepare? I wish I could just tell you that I believe everything will be okay, but that is not the truth. Have you ever heard that when someone sells their soul to the devil, it usually requires some sort of blood sacrifice? Well, this world has completely sold its soul to the devil. So I expect a large blood sacrifice from it when the major conflict arises. The outlook for the future is not bright. And the truth is that you are already ahead of the masses because you already have the right expectations of the future that is approaching. A majority of the world are only looking for an increase in prosperity and distractions. They don't ever have an expectation for the true future and choose to ignore that the world is on fire and the flames are getting bigger. Many people are used to only hearing messages that they want to hear, and they reject the messages that tell them about a world or future that they do not want to see or acknowledge. They think that's a strength, but it actually makes them weak. I mean, I understand that for many people, you have lives that you're trying to protect. Many people are now getting married, having children, ready to get started in careers. Young people who are ready to get started living their own lives and seeing what their lives will become. And now you have a message telling you that this future looks bleak and you should expect hard times to occur? I mean, I know that's a lot to accept, but I believe you should really understand why. You see, while all of this is happening, it can seem pretty secular. Secular meaning attitudes or activities or other things that have no religious or spiritual basis. And maybe you believe that all these world events are about world conflict and political dysfunction. But you should know that these events are completely centered around religion. I don't have these expectations because I am a psychic or that I can see into the future. No, I have these expectations because I am a believer and I read my Bible. Bible prophecy is literally being carried out before our eyes. The world that the Bible has foretold of for centuries is at the cusp of being created, and my expectations are for these things to happen. And here's the kicker. All of the things that I've said that were my expectations, while they are biblical, they are not just confirmed by the Bible. The truth about me is that I did not start fully believing in the God of the Bible until I started seeing how many influencers of today worship the devil and how much the goals of those in power are in line with fulfilling Bible prophecy. Only thing, they are on the opposite side of it. They are on the devil's side, not on the side of the Most High. And so I chose a side, and you must do so as well. You must pick a side. You may think that waiting on the sideline is an option for you, but it is actually not. The big question is, what God do you serve? So again, how do you prepare for what's coming? I made a video last year that spoke about how to prepare for a collapse. You should watch it. I cannot prepare you for war though, because we do not know how it will happen and where it will be. So while I live prepared, and I feel a sense of comfort in knowing that I am better prepared for a storm than most I know, that is not my main advice to you, but it is my advice. You should have food and water in your home that you can survive on for as long as possible. Your first thing to prepare for is martial law and the shutting down of the system, especially if you live in the United States. The United States will be affected by World War III severely, whether it's war, an EMP, or economic collapse. It will be affected severely. Don't live with an expectation that this will all pass us by. Stores will shut down. Food will be scarce. Riots will happen in the streets. Your main plan needs to be about being able to stay in your home and not be dependent on the system to get you through. A majority of people will not be prepared, and then the government will round them up, and at that point, they will be dependent on the government. You do not want this to be you. So the first plan should be to outlast the initial riots and panicking. That may last a few months, but that's my first advice to you. But it's still temporary, and it does not guarantee anything. To prepare for World War III, what you must focus on is getting your spiritual life in order. Because again, let me repeat this. This world conflict, though it seems very physical, it is actually completely spiritual. This isn't about whether you are a good person or not. This isn't about if you go to church with your family as often as you can, or paying your tithes, or being a spiritual person. This is about who do you serve? What God do you serve? I cannot tell you that there is not persecution ahead. I actually can guarantee it. Believers will be persecuted. So maybe you're asking, what about waiting and believing in the rapture? Do you believe in the rapture? To be very clear, yes, I do. I pray that he calls his bride before these things take place. I pray that it is the rapture that is the actual event that sparks all of these other events. I do pray for this, and I have this hope. But the truth is, while I know for sure he is coming back for the church, I do not know when that exactly will be. So I hope for the best, but I am prepared for the worst. I heed my Messiah's words, and I do not fear those who could kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. But rather I fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. That's found in Matthew chapter 10, verse 28. My channel talks a great deal about the end times and what this is all about, why this is all happening. If you do not have a good grasp on it, you should watch my videos. I have an end times playlist that you should go through. You will see it at the end of the video. So this all may scare you and make you feel uncomfortable, and I do understand it. If you're feeling those feelings, you need strength. That is a wake-up call that you need to build up your faith more in the Most High. You need to build your trust and dependency more on Him. You need to be rebuking the devil more. You need to align yourself more with our Father's will and not what the world is trying to sell you. So, unless important events happen that seem like they need to be explained, this channel will not be talking about World War III and all the events that are leading up to it. World War III is a small piece to the bigger puzzle. It is just a tool that will be used to create the chaos needed in order to bring about their order. Don't prepare for World War III. Prepare for Yahshua the Messiah, the true one based on the Bible, not the false one the world will present to you. I'm sorry that this message seems doomy and gloomy. That's why it's called Truth Unedited. The truth on this subject is not easy to hear, but that doesn't mean that I will not share it with you. The points I want you to remember from this video are: 1. Don't get caught up with the day-by-day events. Just get ready and stay ready. Don't let the world promote you into acting through a state of fear. Number 2. World War III is not the end of the world, but the end of the old world order, and the new world order will follow it. Number 3. It will not be a long extended war. Expect nuclear disaster, cyber attacks, an EMP, and an economic collapse. Number 4. There will be mass casualties. Number 5. The first wave of planning should be to get through the initial riots and chaos, not to be dependent on the system for survival. Number 6. The most important thing to prepare is your relationship with the Most High. You need to believe in the true Messiah who was already sent. Number 7. Believe in Him and follow His ways and commands. I hope this video provides you with some clarity on the days ahead. These days ahead are all about your faith. It's about your dependency on our Father. This time that is coming is a time where our Father is testing all who dwell on the earth. But this is not about His children, those who keep His commands and follow Him. In Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, He said, "Because you have kept my command to persevere, I also will keep you from the hour of trial which shall come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth." Your only hope is in Him. And if you just make Him the priority in your life, no matter what comes, you will be ready for it. Don't keep hearing this message and think there's another way. Your only hope is our Savior. So make Him who you live and depend on. And He will sustain you always, no matter what is coming your way. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please make sure to like it and share it with others. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. Elohim willing, I upload every Friday. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel on Facebook and Instagram, and on my website, truthunedited.com. As always, I'd like to thank all who donate and contribute to this ministry. Your donations are truly a blessing to this ministry, and they help very much. Thank you for your love and support and letting our Father use you. You are truly a blessing, and I really appreciate your support. Be blessed. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. I love you all.